Welcome back, brave souls. Last week, I encouraged you to come back because I have a challenge that I want to invite you to join, and I am so excited that you are here. This is going to really strengthen your faith. This podcast is called Mindset Renewal and Empowered Faith because I know the importance of aligning our minds and our hearts with the Lord's truth so we can each experience the fullness of our individual purposes here on earth. Hey there! Are you a Christian woman who's ready to strengthen your faith and stop the madness in your mind? The worry, doubt, anxiety. Do you want something more for your life but are not sure where to even begin? You've come to the right place. Hi, I'm Kristin Campbell. I'm excited that you're here as we journey together to discover mindset renewal and empowered faith for the Christian woman. Now, a lot of us would say that we have a lot of faith or we have a really strong faith, and many do. I mean, please, I have no idea where you're at. I just know for myself that there have been times where I thought I had more faith than I actually did. See, faith is like this abstract, invisible kind of concept. It's sometimes hard to gauge, and that's okay. But I want to share with you today one way to really see where your faith level is at. And then I want to invite you into a challenge to build your faith up, even if it's just a little. Hebrews 11:1 defines faith as the certainty of things hoped for, a proof of things not seen. Again, it's kind of a hard concept to gauge, the proof of things not seen. Other translations say faith is an assurance, a certainty, a confidence, these intangibles. Yet it's our actions, it's our thoughts, our emotions, our words that will all tell us where we are in this assurance or certainty. And it's an assurance or certainty that God is who He says He is, which is foundational. And Hebrews 11:6 goes on to tell us, but without faith, it is impossible to walk with God and please Him. For whoever comes near to God must necessarily believe that God exists and that He rewards those who earnestly and diligently seek Him. We all know in this head knowledge the importance of faith, but our lives don't always reflect that. We can tend to make things more complicated than they need to be. And we tend, because of our humanness, we tend to want to have concretes. Right? We want things labeled, as I said in another podcast. We want things defined. We want them laid out for us. We want to see the unseen and control it, really, if we're honest. And this is common knowledge, and it's a weak point in all of us that the enemy likes to attack. But see, he disguises this attack because we don't often recognize his attack is against our faith. We tend to focus again on those concretes, those things that we can see, because that's kind of what the human nature just defaults to. So we focus on finances, right? We focus on relationships. We focus on the sickness. We focus on whatever it is that we're seeing, that we're feeling, that we're able to define. And yet, I want you to listen to what Jesus says to Peter and really to all of us about this. In Luke 22:31-32, Jesus says, Simon, Simon, behold, Satan has demanded to sift you men like wheat, but I have prayed for you that your faith will not fail. Jesus didn't pray for a reversal of circumstances. He didn't pray for, any of the situation to change. He didn't pray for favor. He didn't pray for vengeance. He didn't pray for any of that. Jesus's prayer is for unfailing faith. Jesus knows the real point of attack is our faith. It's that unseen thing that the enemy is going after. The enemy wants our eyes on the scenes of this world. because he wants to distract us away from our faith, away from the truth, away from our relationship with the Lord. And here's the thing. One of the fastest and most effective ways that he does this is through our complaining. Don't go anywhere. Stay with me. And I want to just distinguish up front what complaining I'm actually referring to, because I encourage you, the Lord encourages you to bring your troubles before him. Read the Psalms, because the Psalms can appear like it's all complaining, but it's actually not complaining against the Lord. There's always a submission to God's sovereignty. There's always a hope in his goodness within the hard times. That is not what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about bringing, your life before the Lord. The complaining that I'm referring to, and actually a lot of the translations in the Bible calls it grumbling. This is like the certainty or assurance that God messed something up, that he isn't sufficient for our situation, that grumbling that he led us the wrong way, that he's not good or he's not loving or competent, that we could do it better. See, this is the opposite of faith, and it's actually sin. It angers the Lord. You go through and read Numbers 14. It's a perfect example of the grumbling and complaining that I'm referring to. I'm just going to kind of quickly recap it. The Israelites are rebelling against the Lord because they don't like the desert. They literally just got delivered from Egypt. They have seen miracle after miracle after miracle. And despite all of this, they complain and they think that God's plan is no good. And the Lord gets angry, and he calls the Israelites disrespectful for their unbelief, their lack of faith. He actually wanted to wipe them out, but Moses intervened. And now we have Jesus. We're under a new covenant, and his blood has covered a multitude of sins, including this. Yet the Lord still despises grumbling, because the thought and the heart behind it still disrespects him. There needs to be a shift in our thoughts and our hearts regarding this. And let's take a look at how we do this. James 1, verses 2 through 4. Consider it all joy, my brothers and sisters, when you encounter various trials, knowing that the testing of your faith produces endurance. And let endurance have its perfect result, so that you may be perfect and complete, lacking in nothing. Look, this is not my favorite verse. I'll go ahead and admit that. But it is so foundational, and it can seriously change your life once you understand and apply it. One of the Strong's definitions for the word joy here is calm delight. And this is how I best understand it, because if you remember, I can be a bit dramatic at times. So I look at this as having a calmness when in various trials, because I know that whatever is happening is showing me an area of my faith that needs strengthening. There's an area where my assurance isn't so sure. And as I allow that area to be worked on, to be developed, to grow, that end result is a stronger faith, one that's able to endure other trials. And it's not perfect. This word perfect here isn't this like sunshine and sparkles thing. It's perfect in that you'll no longer lack anything in that area. You'll get to a point of maturity, of completion. But to even begin to have that joy, that calm delight, there has to first be a knowing. There has to first be an understanding, a faith that the trial has purpose and is ultimately good. And this is really difficult. Listen to Job in Job 2, 9 through 10. Job's wife said to him, and this is after Job just lost everything, "Do you still hold firm your integrity? Curse God and die." But he said to her, "You are speaking as one of the foolish women speaks. Shall we accept good from God, but not accept adversity?" Despite all this, Job did not sin with his lips. What's our reaction? What's our understanding of the difficulties, the adversities that come into our life? See, it's our human nature, it's our flesh that wants to grumble and complain, that wants to curse God and die. We don't like adversity or troubles, and we can quickly, and it's really an attempt to kind of feel better, but we quickly start to complain. Very quickly, our focus narrows way down to only what we see. Yet we actually lose sight. We lose faith in God's big picture, His eternal plan for us and all of humankind. And that's the trap. We elevate ourselves by narrowing our views. And we say we know what would be better in the moment, disregarding God's overall plan. And we do this even though God says in Isaiah 55:9, "For as the heavens are higher than the earth, so are my ways higher than your ways, and my thoughts than your thoughts." Even though God tells us in Jeremiah 29:11, "For I know the plans I have for you, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you hope and a future." Even though he tells us in Deuteronomy 31:8, "It is the Lord who goes before you. He will be with you. He will not leave you or forsake you. Do not fear or be dismayed." Even though in Psalm 32:8, the Lord tells us, "I will instruct you and teach you in the way you should go. I will counsel you with my eye upon you." With my eye upon you. God is very aware. He is very much with us, no matter if it's a good time or a tough time. Revelation 22:13 tells us, "I am the Alpha and the Omega, the first and the last, the beginning and the end." The Lord is aware. His eye is upon you, and He sees the big picture. We don't. So here's our challenge. The next time you face a various trial, an adversity, a difficulty, and you feel that grumbling begin to rise up, I want you to first call it out. Call it out for what it is, a lack of faith. Get right to the root. And then I need you to repent, meaning ask God to forgive you for thinking He isn't who He says He is. Forgive you for thinking He is not capable of doing what He says He will do. And then shift directions away from what you see and on to God's promises. You can pour out your heart to God, just as David does in the Psalms, and end it with speaking out truth about who God is within your trial. Speak out scriptures of what the Lord has promised for your life. Shift from the seen and your narrow view to the unseens and the kingdom plan. Your trial may not immediately change, but your faith will get stronger. And that's the perfect work of endurance. That's the prayer of Jesus for you, for us, that our faith will not fail. I hope you accept this challenge and allow the Lord to strengthen you. Be blessed. Thank you for listening to today's podcast. I hope you walked away a little stronger in your faith and freer in your mind. You are so loved. If you like this episode, share it with a friend. Leave your ratings and reviews, and engage with me on social media. I'd love to hear from you.